Hi everyone and welcome back to the Treasure Map project. Today we are going to be going back into the Autodesk Sketchbook app, and if you did this with a pencil and a piece of paper, you are welcome to follow along with the video and add more details and color on yours as well, but this video will be me doing it on the Autodesk Sketchbook app. Okay, so since last time we were together, I added a couple more details. I added some mountains in the ears, I added some rocks at the end of the river, I added some boats in the water, some waves, and then this is what I was talking about with your compass rose. I know that cats like fish, so I did my compass rose as the north and south with one fish and the east and west with another fish. So if you'd like to make your compass rose into a theme like that, you can. And then again, if you wanted to do a map key, you could make kind of, oops, I'm on the wrong thing. There we go. You can make kind of a rectangle at the bottom, label it map key, and then you can add some stuff in there as well. Okay, let's add a couple more details together and then let's talk about coloring. So again, when I have my two fingers and my fingers are moving apart, that means I'm zooming in. And when I have my two fingers and my fingers are moving closer together, that means I'm zooming out. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to add a couple more quick details, maybe some things in my lake and maybe some fish jumping out of the water. Okay, another fish over here. Maybe I can add my whiskers and turn those into something. So just adding a couple more details. I could maybe try to zoom in on this, and if I wanted to make this more of a danger, I could add in kind of my skull and then my crossbones this way. So these are just a couple options to add. The next thing I do want to show us though is that kind of dashed line and then the X marks the spot. So I'm going to zoom out so I can see my whole thing. And I'm actually going to go to the second tool. So I'm on pencil right now and I'm going to go below it. I'm going to click on it. And right now my size is 100% and that's a little bit too big. So I'm going to make my size go down a little bit. But I do want my flow and kind of the wetness, I'll put that at 100%, and then click off of it, and then it should give you kind of this nice dark dashed line. So I'm going to do the back arrow because that's not exactly what I want it to be. Let's start over here, and I like how this is dark, and I like the shape of this tool. And I'm going to come around, and I want my person to have to go through all of these things, and maybe I could put a bridge over the river and going around. And then for the X marks the spot, you could make this tool a little bit bigger and make an X that way, or you could use the text tool like we used last time and you could make an X and you could bring it over here, and I might change the color of this to red. So I'm going to click on that and make my X marks the spot here. Again, I can make it bigger or smaller while I'm pinching or bringing my fingers apart or together. When I push done, it's there. And remember, it creates a new layer. Again, if you are trying to erase, or today we're going to talk about coloring, you need to make sure that you're really paying attention to the layer that you are on. So on the right side of the screen right now, you can see I'm clicking through my layers and nothing is changing, but that little blue box around, you can see which layer you are on. Okay, so if you are trying to erase, for example, and you are on the X layer that it just created, and you go to your eraser and you want to erase something, it's only going to erase the layer that you made. So yes, I can erase the X because that's the layer that I'm on, but if I want to erase something else, I need to click on that layer and then I can erase. So make sure you're really paying attention to the layers that you are on, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more now as well. So I actually want all of us to create a new layer. So right now what I'm going to do is click the little plus sign at the top of this bar over here and click the plus sign, and it will create a new layer for me. If I hold this layer down, so what I'm doing right now is I'm taking my finger, I'm pressing it, and I'm pushing down, I can move my layer, you can see, up and down on the side. What I am going to do is take this new layer and go all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to show you why. If my layer is all the way at the top, and I start using a tool, and I change the color of my tool to orange because I want my cat to be orange, and I start drawing, it is going to go over top of all of that detail that I just did. However, if I take that layer now and I bring it all the way to the bottom, now it's underneath those lines that I made last time. So if you don't want to cover up your black lines, you need to make a new layer with the plus sign, and you need to push it down, drag it all the way to the bottom, and then you can start coloring. So I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want the whole thing to be orange. And you know what? I'll actually do the water first. Now you can mess around with what tool you want to use. There are lots of tools on the side here, and when you actually click on them, they come out. So this one is actually a watercolor brush. So let's kind of see what this looks like if I use blue for my water. In my layer, I want it all the way to the bottom, so I'm going to bring it down. And then when I start, ooh, it's really big. So I'm going to go back. And I'm going to make my size like half that size. Now, there we go. And you can see it's underneath what I've been using. And I actually might want to zoom in and get some of these details. So if you like the look of this brush, you can use this. Otherwise, you can use the other brushes. You can still use the pencil too. I like this one. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. You can see it looks a little bit different from the other brush. But you can start filling things in and start coloring things in. I would stay away from the paint bucket tool, which is at the top. I personally have been having a really hard time with it. If you click on it and then click on your project, it just turns the entire thing that color. So if you want to try to work with the paint bucket, you are more than welcome to. But personally, I am going to just keep on doing it the way that I was doing it. And yeah, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so now you've seen me color a little bit. I do want to make sure that you are always on the correct layer when you are coloring so that you're not going over any of those details that you made last time. And you might have noticed that as I'm doing mine, I'm making a couple mistakes in coloring outside of the lines because I'm going quickly so you all can get to doing this step today. So when you're doing your coloring and adding your details, I would like you to take a little bit more time than what I'm doing so that it really looks like your best work. So I'm going to add in a little bit of green and then talk about how to upload and take a picture, and then you will all get to creating today. So again, as you can see, not my best work. I do want you to color yours in a little bit more nicely, but now that I feel like I'm finished for right now, I am going to go to the first icon in the bar at the top of the screen and click on the share button, and then I can click on the save image button down at the bottom here, or I can use my home screen and the top button on my iPad to take a screenshot, and then when I go to my photos, my island will be here and my screenshot will be here. You can do one or the other. You don't need to do both. And then you can upload it in the turn in folder.